Imagine if everything you learned about chance was a complete lie. What if there existed a secret network of connections that rules our reality, but almost nobody notices? You know when you remember someone and that person calls you at the exact same moment? When you change your path for no reason and later find out you avoided an accident? When the perfect opportunity shows up right when you need it? These things aren't luck or pure chance. They're direct messages from an intelligent force that's always trying to communicate with us. For centuries, powerful groups have hidden this truth on purpose. The reason is simple. When you understand how these connections really work, nobody can manipulate you anymore. You stop being just someone who suffers from things that happen and realize you have real power to create your own life. The education system, media, and even official science want you to believe everything is random and without purpose. But what if this is the biggest lie ever told? Let me ask you a direct question. How many times have you had that strange feeling of thinking about someone and then immediately receiving a message from that person? How many times have you changed your plans at the last minute and later discovered this avoided a problem or brought something good? Most people ignore these experiences as if they were just coincidence. But I'll tell you something. These are precise interventions from a universal intelligence trying to guide your life. The famous psychologist Carl Jung was the first serious scholar to investigate what he called meaningful coincidences. Events that seem to have no relation through normal cause and effect, but carry deep personal importance. Although Jung's work was revolutionary, he only touched the surface of a much deeper truth. In his private writings, Jung admitted he had discovered something that could completely change our understanding of reality. Jung wrote in his personal notes, "These meaningful coincidences operate with mathematical precision, even though they seem to have no physical cause. They represent a completely different way of understanding how reality works, a way that challenges everything Western science believes about the nature of existence." Jung suspected, but never publicly declared, that these synchronicities prove the separation between mind and matter is just an illusion. What Jung only suggested, we're going to explore completely now. Synchronicity isn't just an interesting psychological phenomenon that happens occasionally. It's actually the fundamental operating system of reality itself. It's how the universe's intelligence communicates with you every day, offering guidance, confirmation, and warnings exactly when you need them. The apparent chaos and randomness of modern life is actually a carefully built curtain to hide this truth from you. Here's what really happens. From the moment you were born, you were systematically programmed to ignore the synchronistic messages that constantly surround you. You were taught to trust only what can be measured, weighed, and calculated. Any experience that doesn't fit this limited worldview gets labeled as superstition, coincidence, or wishful thinking. This programming isn't accidental. It's a deliberate strategy to disconnect humanity from its natural ability to navigate reality through intuitive guidance. When people remain ignorant about synchronicity, they become perfect consumers, obedient employees, and easily manipulated citizens. They look outside themselves for answers, validation, and direction. But synchronicity reveals a disturbing truth for those in power. You were never meant to be a helpless victim of random circumstances. You've always been an active participant in creating your own reality, even when you didn't realize it. Every event in your life is actually an external reflection of your internal state. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and energy patterns in each moment. This creative power, your ability to directly influence what shows up in your physical experience, might be the most carefully guarded secret in human history. It's no accident that mainstream science insists you're just a random biological accident in a cold, mechanical universe. This story keeps you disconnected from your true potential. When you start recognizing the synchronicities in your life, something irreversible happens. The veil begins to lift. Hidden patterns become visible. Your communication with universal intelligence becomes clearer and more direct. This new awareness creates a real problem for systems that want to control people, because someone who gets how these connections work can't be scared into obedience or fooled by divide and conquer methods. Understanding how to interpret these signs isn't just about spotting meaningful links. Actually, hiding this knowledge might be one of the biggest cover-ups in all of human history. wiping out thousands of years of collected wisdom about how reality really operates. The old Chinese put this wisdom into the I Ching, a guidance system built completely on the idea that each moment in time has special qualities that connect events that seem totally separate. What today's science calls random chance, the I Ching saw as patterns with deep meaning. Books that gave step-by-step instructions for creating reality on purpose, reading these signs, and communicating across dimensions were deliberately destroyed to keep future people from knowing their real abilities. Shamanic societies on every continent figured out what science is just now starting to prove. Reality isn't something solid and separate from the mind looking at it. Instead, there's constant back and forth between the person watching and what they're seeing. Things that seem far apart stay instantly linked, giving us the first math model for what mystics knew for thousands of years. Mexican brain scientist Jacobo Grinberg pushed these ideas even further by proving through experiments how human awareness directly changes physical reality through something he called the brain field. His groundbreaking tests showed that people in deep meditation could actually change quantum patterns in the space around them in ways you could measure. This would make sense of why these meaningful connections often carry such exact personal information that seems impossible for any outside intelligence to know. Grinberg also recorded how brains sync up between people who have strong emotional bonds. When one person in a connected pair saw a flashing light, the other person's brain showed the same neural patterns, even when they were hundreds of miles apart, with no way to communicate normally. This challenges the basic story that supports current power systems. Talbot's idea of a hologram universe combined with Grinberg's experimental proof of the brain field gives us a complete scientific explanation for understanding these connections, not as superstition or wishful thinking, but as a basic feature of reality. This model perfectly connects ancient spiritual knowledge with cutting-edge discoveries in quantum physics, brain science, and information theory. The continued pushing aside of this knowledge shows how much it threatens established control structures. These electromagnetic fields aren't trapped inside the limits of your physical body, but spread outward and interact with the quantum field that sits beneath material reality. Every thought you think, every feeling you have, literally changes the setup of this field, pulling in experiences that match your unique energy pattern. Jacobo Grinberg documented this through exact brain experiments showing how consciousness directly shapes what we experience. Artists, inventors, and creative people throughout history have naturally understood this principle even without the scientific words to explain it. They learned to follow their inner guidance system, making choices based on what felt energetically right, rather than what looked most logical on paper. Steve Jobs called it following your gut feeling and trusting that it will take you somewhere important. What he was really talking about was navigation through awareness of these connections. Modern quantum theory supports this understanding. At the deepest level, reality doesn't consist of solid objects separated in empty space, but of possibility fields that collapse into definite states only when observed. Your awareness isn't just a passive watcher of this process, but an active player in deciding which possibilities become real experience. The seeming mysteries of quantum physics, superposition, non-locality, quantum entanglement, are confusing only when viewed through the limited lens of old-fashioned materialism. Existence isn't an outside force acting on you, but the medium through which your own awareness expresses itself as solid experience. The universe is constantly communicating with you through an elegant language that goes beyond words, a language of symbols, numbers, and patterns that most people have been trained to ignore. This communication isn't random or accidental, but a sophisticated feedback system designed to guide you back into harmony with your true nature. Different frequencies that connect with different aspects of human consciousness create a rich tapestry of meaningful experiences for those who learn to recognize and interpret them. Michael Talbot, in his studies on the hologram universe, noticed that these symbols work like hologram switches, entry points that link your personal awareness to the bigger information field. When you come across one of these symbols at an important moment, instant sync happens between your local awareness and the universal hologram network, letting information flow that goes beyond normal understanding. This doesn't prove that science is wrong. It just shows the basic problems with the materialist way of thinking when trying to understand non-physical parts of reality. Digital connections represent a new area of this symbolic communication, like when your phone rings with an important message, right when you were thinking about that person, or when a specific song starts playing that has exactly the message you needed to hear. These aren't random mistakes in digital programs, but signs of the same force working through technology. People often find they send messages to friends at identical moments, or find out they were online at the exact same times without planning it. These digital connections suggest that awareness creates links through any medium, including virtual networks. The internet itself works as a technological nervous system for humanity, letting these meaningful connections flow instantly across global networks. When someone on the other side of the world posts exactly the insight you needed to read, or when you discover the perfect video at the right moment, these aren't accidents, but demonstrations of how consciousness uses technology as another communication channel. Please share your own connection experiences in the comments below. What patterns have you noticed in your life that seem too meaningful to be just chance? The idea that your emotions directly influence your reality isn't a mystical spiritual claim, but a provable brain and body fact. Your emotional experience isn't limited to the boundaries of your physical body. It creates measurable electromagnetic fields that extend far beyond your body limits and directly interact with the quantum field around you. When you consistently experience emotions like fear, scarcity, or victimization, you're literally tuning yourself away from the frequencies where your solutions, opportunities, and meaningful connections exist. The human brain works mainly as a filtering system, not a perception system. Of the billions of bits of information available at any moment, your brain lets only a tiny fraction reach your conscious awareness. This filtering process isn't neutral or objective, but deeply influenced by your main emotional state. Changing your emotional frequency is therefore not an exercise in surface-level positive thinking, but a precise brain and body intervention that fundamentally changes not only how you see reality, but which aspects of multi-dimensional reality you're able to access and make real as concrete experience. The most effective method for consciously raising your emotional frequency isn't trying to push down negative emotions, but deliberately growing states of gratitude, appreciation, and unconditional love. The symbolic language that the universe uses to communicate with you through your life is highly personal. The meaning of a crow appearing at critical moments for you may be completely different from its meaning for someone else, depending on your personal experiences, emotional connections, and specific growth path. To map your personal connection language, look for repeating patterns. Which symbols, numbers, animals, or situations repeatedly appear at meaningful moments? What specific emotions do you experience when these patterns emerge? Is there a clear relationship between your internal state and the external signs you receive? These patterns aren't random, but represent your authentic path. These signs aren't punishments or rewards, but neutral feedback from the field about how much you're in harmony with your most genuine expression. To amplify your connection perception, practice daily moments of mental stillness and conscious presence. The overactive mind, constantly busy with analysis, judgment, and planning, can't perceive the subtle patterns of these connections. Only when habitual thinking filters temporarily relax during meditation, contemplation, or moments of natural wonder can you access the deeper information layers that surround you constantly. Most people experience these moments as lucky accidents of fate. This position of passivity, deliberately encouraged by institutions that depend on your compliance, represents the most basic waste of human potential. The unconscious abandonment of your natural power as a deliberate architect of your own experience. The transition from unconscious creator to conscious co-creator isn't just a philosophical change, but a practical revolution in your moment-to-moment interaction with the matrix of reality. When you understand that every person in your life appears for specific reasons, relationships become active tools for growth and self-discovery. Romantic partners, friends, colleagues, and even difficult family members all serve as mirrors reflecting back specific aspects of your consciousness that require attention. Once you heal the internal pattern, these external dynamics automatically shift because the vibrational template that attracted them no longer exists. Advanced practitioners learn to read relationships as living connections, understanding that each person who enters their experience carries specific information, lessons, or opportunities for expansion that are precisely calibrated to their current level of development and the particular challenges they're ready to transcend. They can figure out which part of their awareness each person shows them and what healing change instantly turns relationship problems into chances for consciousness growth. Making choices based on these connections completely goes beyond normal methods of logical thinking. When you really get it, the flow of these connections works as a perfect guidance system, showing not the easiest or most obviously logical path, but the route most in tune with your real growth. Choices made in harmony with this flow often seem crazy by normal standards, but lead to outcomes that pure logic could never predict or create. This way of living based on inner guidance instead of outside approval or material rewards represents the most dangerous possible threat to systems that depend on passive obedience to manufactured agreement. The truth about these connections has stayed hidden for so long, not because there's no proof, but because of the revolutionary potential it holds. A person who fully gets that nothing happens by accident instantly becomes free from the basic illusions that keep current power structures going. This understanding isn't just intellectual, but transforms into lived experience that changes how you interact with reality at every level. Every meaningful connection is a direct message from the universal field. The question now becomes, how will you choose to live with this knowledge? Will you keep ignoring the signs that constantly show up around you? Or will you consciously accept your role as a deliberate builder of your own experience? Consider watching this video again tomorrow morning to strengthen these ideas and set the connection tone for your day. Or better yet, share this with someone who's ready for this level of understanding. When you share consciousness-expanding knowledge like this, you create an energetic wave effect that not only helps them wake up to their creative power, but also strengthens your own connection to the field and speeds up creation for both of you. Real change begins with recognizing your role as a co-creator. And the most effective way to connect with this divine intelligence is through meditation and conscious awareness practices. There are specific methods and audio tools designed to help you access these higher states of consciousness and strengthen your connection perception. When you're ready to take this journey seriously, these resources can speed up your awakening to the profound interconnected nature of reality and your power within it. Now that you understand these connections operate through quantum principles, you need to understand how your consciousness directly shapes reality through observation itself. The double-slit experiment reveals the shocking truth about how your awareness literally collapses quantum possibilities into concrete experience, proving you're not just receiving connection messages. You're actively creating reality moment by moment through the very act of conscious observation. This means every time you focus your attention on something, you're not just passively witnessing what's already there. You're actively participating in bringing specific possibilities into physical form. Your awareness doesn't just receive information from the universe. It collaborates with the universal intelligence to manifest the experiences that match your internal state and evolutionary needs. Understanding this transforms everything about how you approach life. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, you realize you're a powerful co-creator, working with forces that are always trying to support your highest good and authentic expression.